Refurbishing an old Mamod steam wagon Part 3, a serious warning about using compressed air with a model steam engine boiler, followed by showing the start of the simple repair to make the engine work. It was a question from one of my Patreon supporters that prompted me to put some health and safety warnings on this one. He was asking me if I would show a method to reduce the £120 per square inch that his compressor delivers down to a low pressure. Most commercial compressors capable of giving out £120 per square inch have a secondary circuit with a pressure gauge and a regulator valve on. If you put £120 per square inch into a small Mamod boiler, then this may happen. Health and safety warning: never connect high-pressure compressed air to a model boiler under any circumstances. If your compressor does not have a pressure gauge with a regulator valve on the air outlet, do not use it for this purpose. And to conclude the warnings, do not use a hose clip. It is unnecessary for low air pressure. I always use a spring clip on silicone rubber piping because I generally use higher pressure, and I seldom work on small toys like this one. You have been warned. When a Mamod steam engine with its small brass boiler is running on steam, I would estimate that it runs at around £10 to £20 per square inch. This particular model is not running very well, and I know why it's not running very well, but I'm not going to tell you immediately. See if you can guess. Here are the symptoms. The engine is reluctant to start, even with £20 per square inch in the boiler. This is an oscillating cylinder engine, and one disadvantage of oscillating cylinder engines is, particularly with these small toy ones, they need to be run on low pressure. If you apply too much pressure to the port face, it moves the piston away from the port, and this will leak quite a lot of compressed air or steam depending on which medium you're using. When I pull the cylinder away from the port block, you can see how much air leaks out. Look carefully at this clip and you will see that the reversing lever is moving about all over the place. The entire assembly seems to be loose. Why is this? These vastly overscale Mamod reversing units fitted to later models are quite a clever idea, but I've never liked them. I don't like the way they look, and I don't like the way they work. And I really have to ask myself, do I really want a Mamod steam engine to run backwards? I had a Mamod steam tractor when I was a child, and this didn't have one of these big, ugly, clumsy reversing levers. It just had a valve, and you turned the valve to make it go, and you shut the valve to stop it. I've removed the trunnion pin, which is the pin with the spring that holds the cylinder to this unit. As you move the massive reversing lever, it changes the position of the cylinder relative to the ports on the port face. With the trunnion pin removed, I can have a look at the cylinder, and if you look carefully at the cylinder, the port face wear is quite uneven at one side. I'm not going to fix it in this episode, but I'm going to show you what the problem is. First of all though, what has caused the problem? The answer: the owner of the engine. Before you attempt to remove the piston from a cylinder on a Mamod steam engine, loosen the trunnion pin and remove the cylinder first. It is of course possible to remove the piston without removing the cylinder, but by doing that you're putting a lot of pressure on the port block, and after all it's only a thin piece of brass and it bends. Normally the port block or port face on an oscillating cylinder steam engine is made from a much thicker material, and on these old Mamod steam engines the entire mechanism is quite weak, considering that it supports the flywheel, the crankshaft and the crank web, as well as the reversing mechanism and the cylinder. If you want to take the piston out, what people normally do is pull the piston out to its full extent, and there's just enough slack to allow you to slip it off the crank pin. And in some cases this causes the problem of the bent port face. Here I'm demonstrating what I've just been talking about, and as you can see, a lot of pressure is put on the right hand side of the port face when you pull the piston away from the crank pin. Here's a piston that I removed from the cylinder the wrong way. The problem had been caused a long time ago and not by me. When I looked at the port face from the top, I could see that it was bent. Using my small Barco adjustable spanner, I very carefully and very slightly bent the end of the port block outwards. This is not the full fix, I'll show that in the next episode. But what I did made a big difference to the way the engine runs, as can be seen here. You may notice how I've elevated the rear of the Mamod steam wagon using a pair of pliers. Simple yet effective. And what is interesting is the more I ran the steam wagon, the smoother it got as the cylinder started to bed in on the port face in its new position. And that's it for this episode. In the next one, I'm going to put the entire steam wagon in the kitchen sink and give it a thorough clean. I don't need to use my ultrasonic cleaner for this job. I'm just going to use some commercial washing up liquid and some warm water. That's it for now. Stay safe, stay healthy. Thanks for watching, and I hope you found it useful. Please take the time to visit my main Steam Models website and click on the section of the website that says Video Playlists. And by doing that, you can find other videos that you may like to watch. And by using the playlists, you can actually watch the videos back to back.